I'm going to do this one on the enigma of the super genius janitor. Believe it or not, there is such thing. And the reason I never could fully understand it until I read the book, The Peter Principle. And I wish I'd read that book 30 years ago. Would have been help, at least. But then again, you know, it's also fatal knowledge too. If you're in that category, because you realize there's virtually no hope for you. In order to get hired, you have to be normal. In order to get promoted, you have to be normal. Because the world is run by normal people, and they only want to hire normal people, and they only want to promote normal people, all right? Being a super genius is not normal. So super geniuses do not get hired, except if you're not normal, the only jobs you can get are the jobs that nobody else wants, all right? The jobs with shitty working conditions and shitty pay. Those are the only jobs you'll get if you are abnormal in any way, shape, or form. Now, if you're absolutely incapable of doing the job, that was our little friend from the NSA or whatever, maybe letting me know that they know I'm doing a video. I haven't done any videos in a couple weeks. What they do is they just ring the phone. It's an Arizona number this time. There was one coming from Virginia for a while. If I let the answering machine get it, or if I pick it up and say hello, which I usually don't, it's just silence for about 3 seconds and it hangs up, disconnects. I don't know, I guess that's supposed to intimidate me or something. If you are in that situation, you realize there's basically no hope for you. If you're not normal, you're not going to have many friends, you're not going to get a job, you're not going to get promoted. It's hard to do business because most people don't want to do business with you. They'll sell you stuff, but they don't want to buy anything from you. They don't trust you. Normal women aren't going to want to go out with you. Of course, if you're a woman, normal men aren't going to want to go out with you. You could try to find an abnormal woman, but there's so few of them, and usually they have a lot of baggage because they got a lot of problems from a lifetime of rejection and mistreatment from others. That's why a lot of them kind of go off the deep end, become murderers and stuff out of rage and anger. You know, I didn't do that because I got pretty high morals, my upbringing. Also, I've got a lot of empathy and compassion. I also have a lot of anger and rage, though, deep down inside. Try to keep it under control, but it's hard sometimes. The super geniuses are not wanted. You know, technically, you know, you think, well, geez, any college or university would want, you know, like Good Will Hunting, you know, that movie. These movies, all movies and all books are usually somewhat based on reality. Authors, writers, they get their ideas from the real world. Now, they may change a lot of things, and that includes a lot of bizarre, but you know, a lot of bizarre things do happen. The truth is stranger than fiction. But see, I don't give a shit about those because there's no hope for me. There's no future for me. I'm never going to have much in the way of friends. I virtually no chance I'm going to have a happy, healthy relationship with a woman. I'm never going to make any money. So it really doesn't make any difference if these people mess with me. So I got nothing to lose. What are they going to do? Kill me? They'd be doing me a favor. So anyway, I'm not worried about it. There was another one on Sci Factor. Now this Sci Factor is supposed to be, it was a show with Dan Aykroyd a few years ago. It was an interesting show, but they started getting further from reality. But it was actually based on case files of some kind of psychic research organization, probably a top secret kind of thing. The name that Aykroyd used, I think OSI or something, probably wasn't the real name. But they do this stuff. But anyway, they had a Good Will Hunting type janitor on that show, and it was one of my favorite episodes. Peter was one of the main characters, and he was a scientist, and he was working on a military project to try to damage technology without damaging people, which is kind of a humanitarian he believed in. But anyway, he couldn't get the thing to work, and he got mad, and he threw his coffee, and it made a mess, and there was a janitor out there. He told him to go in there and clean it, and he started wiping the thing down, and then he looked at it, and then we hit a couple things, and he goes, "What are you doing?" He hit the button, and it worked. How'd you do that? Anyway, they hired this guy to start fixing it. It turned out he was actually a murderer, and they put implants in him to try to make him forget who he was. It's probably partially based on the truth. But anyway, there are a lot of goodwill hunting janitors out there. There are a lot of super genius. Oh, what I was starting to say before I was interrupted, a lot of people think, well, a college university would love to have a super genius on the staff. No, they wouldn't. A super genius is going to come out, he's going to point out all the flaws in their system, like relativity is bullshit. And he's going to say, this is all wrong. And that is going to go over like a manure wagon in a perfume factory. But no, that won't work. In fact, there are scientists who try to buck the system and point out the flaws with the system, and they get in a lot of trouble. They usually get fired, you know. But super geniuses normally can't get hired in the first place. There's a lot of colleges and universities that put out people that are like on the top percentiles of the SAT scores, you know, straight A average. They go out in the real world, they can't get a job, nobody will hire them. They're too smart. The other employees don't like them. They don't fit in. They consider them to be a threat, and the management considers them to be a threat. They're afraid that they're going to be taking over my job if I hire this guy. And if he does somehow get in because he's got a friend or something, he's not going to get promoted because he's a threat to the people on top. So, yeah, there are a lot of enigmas in this world. So a lot of the most genius people in the world are janitors or bums. A lot of them are bums. You'd be surprised. You go out there and talk to some of these homeless people, you'd be surprised that a few of those they're so intelligent you can't even believe it. And you wonder, how the hell is this guy living on the street when he's so intelligent? And I've known a couple people like that. Oh, I had a poetry English teacher. He was really into poetry big time. Learned some fascinating things about poetry. Anyway, he saw a bum, and he was with some friends. They were out drinking or something, and there was a bum. He had a sign saying, he'll recite you a poem for $1. He said, well, I'm kind of into poetry. I thought it was a generous move to give the bum $1. And he goes, here's $1. And he got right in his face and he told him the most beautiful poem he had heard in years. And he goes, wow, he pulled out a 5 and he wants 5 more of those. And started talking and found out this guy was actually had a PhD in English literature. I don't know. In fact, he was a professor of literature or something at one point. And somehow he ended up on the street. But anyway, you know, these people, the super geniuses, if they can find a niche, they can produce so much for society. Almost all the greatest achievements came from just a small percentage of the population. These super geniuses, you know, people, you know, like Beethoven, Mozart. A lot of real scientists like Tesla. These people can come up with more if they can find a niche where they can be, or a sponsor, somebody with compassion can sponsor, help, and be a go-between them and the normal people. They can accomplish so much, but they're generally rejected by the masses. Normal people are basically just playing games. All right, they know enough to feed themselves and keep clothing over their heads, but other than that, they're just going through the motions. You know, in their house, they're playing house. At work, they're playing work. Whether anything actually gets accomplished or not, doesn't matter. They're just going through the motions. And if they're not, you know, doing that much, they just promote them to the next higher level where they do nothing even less. You know, a lot of these companies have all these vice presidents. It's funny. My sister's a vice president. But she's normal, you know. She was a good-looking blonde. She knows how to play business. She knows how to play that role, and she knows how to posture that. And you know, she's a vice president. There's lots of vice presidents, and they're usually they just create all these vice president roles because they don't know what else to do with them. Just an observation, you know. There are some super geniuses out there that, because they're too intelligent, they can't get a decent job. You know, life's not fair, you know, but it's not.